So, anyway, I thought for today's episode, we would do a little bit more of a deep dive into not only Synth ID, but a few other technologies that are focused around detecting AI generated content. We'll talk about the type of detection that each tool does, and we'll do a little bit of exploration of how functionally each tool performs its detection. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the AI Marketing Navigator. This is your daily compass in the ever-evolving world of AI marketing. Okay, navigators, we are back today with another episode highlighting some awesome AI technology. If you'll recall, in yesterday's episode, we talked about a tool called Synth ID, which was a technology developed by Google's DeepMind team to detect and watermark artificial intelligence generated images initially. It now can, in fact, detect artificially intelligent AI generated content in images, audio, and video. So multimodal detection there. Anyway, I thought for today's episode, we would do a little bit more of a deep dive into not only Synth ID, but a few other technologies that are focused around detecting AI generated content. We'll talk about the type of detection that each tool does, and we'll do a little bit of exploration of how functionally each tool performs its detection. So first up on the list is Synth ID. Synth ID, according to the landing page on the deepmind.google site, which I have shared in the show notes, is a tool for watermarking and identifying AI-generated images. They go on and describe it as this technology that embeds digital watermark directly into the pixels of an image, making an imperceptible to the human eye, but detectable for identification watermark. They have a couple examples here of a watermarked image versus a non-watermarked image. And true to their statement, you really cannot perceptibly see any difference or any quote-unquote watermark with your naked eye. The article here goes on to describe why traditional watermarks typically fail and why they are so unpopular. For instance, as you likely know, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're a digital marketer, you can pretty easily and simply crop out a traditional watermark from any image that you were using. And if you're not going to be cropping out any watermarks, if you actually are okay with leaving them in your images, they're usually pretty aesthetically displeasing. They kind of degrade your image or content overall aesthetically. Additionally, these Synth ID watermarks cannot be removed by editing or filtering like that, nor can they be removed by filtering or editing the metadata on an image or changing the metadata for an image. So even if the metadata of the image is not intact or lost or has been altered, these watermarks from Synth ID will still be present, which is a big deal because the metadata previously is typically how you can track changes or origin of image assets. So if you could edit that or change that, you could pretty well sneak stuff by. So at the time being, Synth ID only works for images, assets that are generated using Google's AI generation tools like VO, Imagine, and stuff like that. But they do say here that there is hope or the possibility, at least, to integrate with third parties as well, and that the technology should and would be able to span across other AI models. And as we go through these other tools, you'll likely find that many of them only work for one model or the one model that they're able to control or at least implement these watermarking or identification features in. And by control, I mean have the ability to actually place the watermark. So right now, Google, for instance, can use this Synth ID on things that are generated within their tools, within their Imagine image generator, within VO, the video generator that they use, Gemini if you're doing text generation. And this landing page also goes into a little bit more detail on how Synth ID works. With the AI generated text, for instance, and this is a little confusing to kind of wrap your head around. So apologies if I haven't quite summarized it correctly or if I still don't quite understand it fully, but it looks like what the model will do in the case of text generated content is it will apply certain probabilities and weights to all the words in that generated text. And when everything is output, this creates a pattern of probability scores that are highlighted using Synth ID. And they describe it as the final pattern of scores for both the model's word choice combined with the adjusted probabilities scores for the actual words in that sentence are considered kind of the watermark. So if you're able to detect that probability pattern that's applied by Synth ID, that's acting as the watermark. So it sounds like they're looking at what was generated, and they're basically calculating the probability that it was generated using artificial intelligence, which is pretty cool. In the case of audio-generated content, so music, for instance, the post here describes the process as taking a WAV file and converting it into a spectrogram, at which point you will embed, or you would embed, the technology, the digital watermark. And after that, that spectrogram is then converted back into a WAV file in which the watermark is no longer detectable, obviously non-detectable audibly to human ears. Okay, moving on to another AI detection tool. This one is called Sensity AI, and it was formerly known as Deep Trace. And much like Synth ID seeks to identify and watermark images and videos, so does Sensity AI, whose mission is to provide a way to trace the origin of visual content reliably in the AI age. And just like the technology in Synth ID, Sensity AI embeds a digital watermark into the pixels of an asset, which is then detectable for later scans by the tool. But if you dive into the Sensity website a little bit more, which I have shared in the show notes, they really focus more on deep fakes and being able to detect the face or fake agents or bad actors within AI generated content, within facial, specifically AI generated content. And this is kind of presented as a KYC use case, which is a know your customer use case. Essentially, it's the concept and practice of confirming and identifying the identity of your customers and clients that you're talking to and engaging with, and not only confirming, but verifying their identity and the legitimacy of their personhood, really. And definitely check out the website because there's a ton of detail on their different solutions they describe that they are able to help you defend against, for instance, any type of AI manipulations, many of which we have talked about or come across on this show. Things like face swap and AI avatars, synthetic faces, lip syncing, facial reenactment, AI generated voices, all of which are super popular features in the AI community, in the AI marketing community for obvious reasons. And they've been pretty popular on this show as well as far as features to cover. But we have always emphasized being transparent and open about the fact that they are being used in your marketing collateral or your marketing experience. So you should not be trying to trick anyone using these tools, and therefore you should not be getting caught by Sensity AI. So just be better than that, marketers. I know you can. Okay, and the last tool that we're going to talk about today is called Detect GPT, which differs a little bit from the first two tools. And out of those, it's just primarily just an AI detector for text generation, really. Although it does have a feature that can also detect AI images that is coming soon. And it does this evaluation or verification in a pretty standard way, scanning the content in text for accuracy, checking to see if any of the content is plagiarized, performing fact checking on the content, and providing a readability score as well. DetectGPT is a paid tool. They have 3 tiers that you can pay, either a monthly or yearly. For the essential tier, you're going to start at $15 a month. There is a pro tier at $29 a month and a team tier at $59 per month. And essentially, the primary difference in the tiers is the amount of words per month that you're able to submit to the detector. Now, their main page offers an AI detector for people looking to scan and flag AI content. However, a secondary tool is an AI humanizer, which is meant to help you humanize your AI generated content so that it cannot be detected. So I think that's pretty, I don't know, call it funny or whatever you want to call it, but pretty bold move here by the Detect GPT team, I think. Kind of playing both sides of the ball. And I would be curious to know how that works out in the long run. I guess you're selling products to both sides, which is a pretty profitable way to do business if you can get away with it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what this means for us as marketers. On the one hand, this gives us an opportunity to build more trust and leadership in our content. If we can continually be honest and forthright about whether our content or images are AI generated, or if you continue to use non-AI generated content, your content is going to be all the more engaging and will stand out more in a crowd or a sea of watermarked AI content. This is a great opportunity to differentiate your brand as well as your intellectual property. Using these tools as a defense, as a kind of a shield, as it were, from bad actors or people who are trying to steal your IP. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on if you're a marketer. If you need to protect your IP, these tools are right up your alley. This also plays right into all the talks we've had about regulatory compliance and the legal gray area of these AI generated images. Again, if we are consistently able to identify and watermark AI images, it's going to make it all the much more difficult for bad actors to abuse copyrights and possibly mistrained models, as it were. Okay, everybody. So for today's action items, check out these AI detection tools. If you are a marketing department or a sales department who needs to know your customers better and verify the customers that you're talking to, I think Sensity AI is a great solution to check out. If you're using any of the Google AI generators heavily, like Gemini or Veo or Imagine, or if you believe that any of the designers that you're contracting with are using these tools and you need to identify them, Synth ID is the way that you can do that. And then if you're looking for a more basic AI detection tool for primarily your written content, check out Detect GPT. And as always, let me know here at the AI Marketing Navigator about your experience with the tools, and especially let me know if there are any vulnerabilities or if the tools are actually going to be capable of detecting AI content in the future. That's a big thing that we talk about a lot here on the show. Okay, that does it for today's episode. If you enjoyed the show or found it useful in any way, please do me a favor and follow on Spotify or subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. A review on top of that would be even more appreciated and is so super helpful to the show. So until next time, and as always, thanks for joining me, and remember to stay curious, stay consistent, and keep navigating forward. Bye.